Hello and welcome to today's Daily Rift. I'm Stormo and we're picking up pretty much straight where we left off in Friday's video with a new thing. I'm actually recording this in a batch so I can get back ahead with the videos, so that's always good. Had a pretty quick run through on Friday, which I'm kind of pleased about. I like fast ones, efficient runs, it's all about the efficiency. And yeah, this is just part of a whole batch of videos I'm finally getting around to doing today. Sonic CD is going to actually happen, finally, after all that time. So, that'll be good for everyone. And I'm going to try and do a video on Cities Skylines at some point too. So that may or may not be up today or tomorrow, probably. See how that goes. So yeah, those should all happen if everything goes according to plan anyway, in the near future. So what else is happening here? Got the graveyard from Westmarch, which is nice. I'm not a big fan of this layout, but I'm not a big fan of any layout apparently. If you listen to these videos, you'll just hear me complain about every bloody layout. This one's not too bad though, it just has some choke points that can be a pain in the bum, particularly on sort of torment levels where you can't get out of champion fixes and things like that. So, but we're doing okay at the moment. Polar Station really helps, gives you that sort of control that you can take advantage of stuff like this. These guys can die. Bit disappointed we had to get rid of the legendary that we were rocking the other day, but the yellow bow that I picked up is a lot better. So. And there we go, they're all dead. Yep, picked up grey. Still got my puzzle ring, so I should just let the goblin pick up like greys and whites. Although I don't think the goblin actually picks up greys, it only picks up whites, doesn't it? Not sure about that. Find out soon enough. I may, if there's another PTR patch in the near future, I may go back and do another PTR run, like I did a couple of weeks ago. Just to sort of get a handle on what's changed, if anything dramatic changes. If nothing dramatic changes, I probably won't, but if they introduce something major, I can't even remember if there's plans to do that. If they do, though, I will certainly go back and have another look at it. Yeah. This was a lot less promising direction to take than I initially thought. Where are we going to go? This way. Okay, down here. Yep, this looks good. Here we go. Found it. It's always nice to find what you need. Whoop. And we've leveled up again. So, sort of working our way through the levels pretty quickly, and hopefully that continues. It'll slow down probably after level 60. I think level 60 is a really quick level, like getting from 60 to 61. But then the Reaper of Souls levels are a lot longer. So, but, once we hit level 61, of course, we start getting Reaper of Souls loot too, which is great because we haven't seen any of that yet. Aside from like the smart loot and stuff like that, of course, like the revamped loot system. But I'm talking about like the actual loot you get from 61 to 70 because it all changes. It's like the gems and the crafting materials and all that kind of stuff as well. So, as well as the new items that start to drop after that point as well. I'm already using level 61 gems, so that's not a big deal. But it just lets me increase my stock of them, which is always handy because it's surprisingly easy to run out of them, actually, it turns out. Especially if you do a lot of item enchanting and stuff like that, because enchantments often cost gems, or at least after a certain point they will start to cost gems. So, all a teleporter vortex. Probably one of the easy combinations that you could get. So, takes a little time to go down. There we go. Not that hard. So I talked, I think, a little bit about Terry Pratchett on Friday, and I sort of ran out, I guess, of time. I hadn't quite finished what I was going to say regarding his books. And the point I wanted to get across was, as someone who'd read a lot of, well, not a lot of fantasy, but certainly read all of Tolkien, and certainly read various other things. I think I had actually read some of the Belgariad too. Like, someone was like, oh, you should read the Belgariad, and I read it. No. Pass. Couldn't get into the Belgariad. Sorry if you're a David Eddings fan. Just didn't enjoy it. The other thing I was getting into though at the time was science fiction too. Like, I'd always been a science fiction fan. Like, Doctor Who was a thing I loved, and I loved Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And I think, as I said on Friday, Terry Pratchett to me felt like sort of fantasy Douglas Adams at first. Like, that was kind of... The humour felt really similar to that. And that was really cool. And so I got into it that way. And then, you know, I was reading a lot of other stuff. I was reading William Gibson, James Ellroy, Elmore Leonard, I read a bit. A lot of sort of crime books, actually, strangely enough. I don't know why. I went through a phase in high school where I read, like, basically everything James Ellroy had written up to that point, which was great, because he's a fantastic author, but not something that people would probably peg me for if they met me in real life, as being someone who reads a lot of crime novels and things like that. So, but I did. And that was cool. Anyway, so getting back to that, what I was saying was that the thing I found was that I'd read Tolkien, but not many people I knew had read it. Like, I was in Year 7, we actually studied The Hobbit in class in Year 7. That was like one of our class books that we studied that year, was The Hobbit. So basically everyone in my class had read The Hobbit, but of course very few of them had read Lord of the Rings, and even fewer of them had read The Silmarillion. So I couldn't really talk about Tolkien to them at the time. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing his name properly either, but I'm pretty sure that's how it's supposed to be pronounced. But everybody had read Terry Pratchett. Like, even people who weren't otherwise into fantasy had read Terry Pratchett. And I've known that, like, ever since then, like, you know, growing up and all that, I've known people who don't normally read fantasy, but holy gods, they will read Terry Pratchett. And so there's just something about his worlds and the fantasies he presents in them that I just think appeals to us all. I guess because Discworld is very intentionally a reflection of the real world, and often a satirical one, but not always. Like, I know Pratchett is regarded very much as a great satire writer, but I've also found that he's also just an incredibly good writer of characters. He's one of those writers that has that, I wouldn't say it's a rare ability, but it's certainly not a super common ability to give every character a really unique and individual voice, and do that for more than just a couple of characters. Like, pretty much even the minor characters in most Discworld novels feel like individual characters rather than just sort of, you know, a grey outline in the background of the events of the story. He fleshes them out, not always, you know, in great detail, because he doesn't need to, because he was capable of doing stuff like that. I suppose the other thing I should thank Pratchett for is he got me into reading Neil Gaiman, thanks to the wonderful Good Omens. If you only ever read one book that Terry Pratchett authored, make it Good Omens. It is by far the funniest book I have ever read. I read it, the first time I read it, it took me a couple of days, and I laughed my ass off all through it. And then I actually read it a second time a few years later, and I just found a copy lying in someone's house. And I sat down and I started reading it, and I literally just went through the whole book in a single afternoon. And it's just that kind of book, and it is so, so very good, and so very worth reading. I wouldn't even hesitate to think about, like, just reading that book. If you're going to read something by Terry Pratchett, read Good Omens. Like, if you don't want to get into the Discworld novels, you don't want to do any of that stuff, just Good Omens. He co-wrote it with Neil Gaiman, and they're both in top form. This is Sandman era Neil Gaiman we're talking here, so, like, at the height of his powers, although Gaiman's powers have never really lost. He's still a very good writer, and his last book is pretty great. Although I'd never actually read the whole thing. But yeah, so yeah, just read that book. Read Sandman anyway, because Sandman's great as well. But yeah, read a Discworld novel. Even read some of the other stuff he's written, like the... I forget the name. There's a particular name for it, but he wrote a trilogy of books called Truckers, Diggers, and Wings, I think. And those are worth reading. Those are really good. Like, don't expect the same sort of style as the Discworld. It's a little bit different, but still worth reading. I've actually got a copy of the other book he wrote not long ago, Nation, which is not a Discworld novel either. And I still need to get around to reading that. I haven't read that yet. So I'll need to sit down and do that at some point. Because I've heard it's very good, like, up there with his best work. So. But overall, I just, you know, always loved him. And yeah, just a great loss. He's gone. And I promise I won't talk about Terry Pratchett anymore after this video. I've spent 2 videos doing it, and that's more than enough. That's mostly just an artifact of the fact that these videos have been recorded one after the other on the same day, so you'll get like part 1 Friday, and this is part 2 now. Holy crap, I'm getting beaten up here. I don't know what's going on. What have we got? We've got... that's why I scanned you. Just throws these bloody... arcane sentries. No. So I've also managed to pick this guy up who's got knockback. That's why I'm getting bounced about, because this guy has knockback. Yeah, die. Oh, yeah, this is going to be... It's going to take a little bit just to clear this area out. Just so I've got somewhere safe. Check my loot. Hopefully that's enough. Should be checking my blood shard count too, because I haven't cleared that out in a while. Is that going to annoy those? Yeah, I'll clear these guys. Die. I just want to teleport to home and check my loot. There we go. Okay, that should be enough. Let's have a look at what we got. Did we get upgrades? That is likely an upgrade. That's not. So I will equip those. Means I'll lose gems, but oh well. Not an upgrade, not an upgrade. Not really an upgrade. Not an upgrade. Nope. Maybe-ish. I lose a lot of toughness though, but it's more damage, and I can't help but feel that prioritizing damage is probably best at this point, because I don't think I'm in much danger of dying, so that's an upgrade. That's not an upgrade. That's not an upgrade somehow. We already looked at these, didn't we? What was that? No. Okay, so that's everything. Thank you all for watching, and I promise that tomorrow we will talk about things other than my favourite authors.